America. It's a beacon to the rest of the world. And not just for our system of government, but for how it makes people feel inside.
What do you love about America?
I just love the country and the people.
I love America because I'm free.
Tell me what you love about America.
Everything.
The founders didn't write the Constitution and the Bill of Rights with all this bravado and confidence. They wrote those documents in fear. They had come, or their families had, from places where people they knew were hung for speaking up for their rights.
Reading the Constitution, there were moments where I really felt the presence of, the fragility and the beauty that was in that original dream of this country being founded in this way, and that incredible hope that went into those documents, and I almost felt around me the protection that those documents give me and my children, very personally. And then I felt them threatened.
America and our friends will meet this threat with every method at our disposal.
FBI, police, open up!
A new report says the president and his advisors are still making anti-terrorism policy on the fly.
Police in Washington, D.C. have put in place an army of surveillance cameras.
There was a request from the White House as to the possibility of replacing all the United States attorneys.
We don't torture people. Let me say that again to you. We don't torture people.
Preventing mass terror will be the responsibilities of presidents far into the future.
I've always been a writer, and I write about politics and social issues.
Naomi Wolf is the author of several books, including the 90s feminist classic, The Beauty Myth.
What's your name? Thank you.
And I love that I live in a country where I can express my views without fear. But I wrote The End of America because I saw that changing.
Best-selling author Naomi Wolf's latest book is called The End of America.
My guest is Naomi Wolf. She is an enemy combatant.
Comparing George Bush to Hitler is it's off the deep end. We're done. That's all we got.
Naomi Wolf.
I started having conversations around the country, talking with people at town meetings.
One dimension, which is a very popular site.
The state is legalizing torture. This is becoming a police state.
They carried out terrorist attacks.
Yeah, I'm actually familiar with some. Oh, geez, yeah.
And you know what really has to happen in this country is real debate has to go back to the citizens.
Traveling around America to warn people of this threat, I felt so strongly how each of us has a role to play in standing up for the Constitution. And I was really moved at how people from every walk of life wanted to stand up and fight.
So tonight I'm going to talk to you about some very disturbing warning signs that we have to pay attention to and rise up to confront. I wrote this book in a kind of desperate heat and haste last year because of an emergency I saw that we were facing. I have this friend. She and I often talk about news events together. And we would talk about the Bush administration and things that were happening, and she kept saying, they did this in Germany. They did this in Germany. And at first, really, I have to tell you, I thought that this was crazy talk, you know, so extreme and so out there, and, right? And I really dismissed it. And she didn't drop it. She kept saying they did this in Germany. Finally, she sat me down and she put a stack of books in front of me and she pretty much said, read. And I started to read. And as I read, literally my hair stood on end because sound bites and images and phrases were leaping off the pages and were current in the discourse around us. Little echoes from things like Homeland, the Department of Homeland Security. It used to be called domestic security, right? Homeland, Heimat, is a word that became current in National Socialist discourse in about 1931-32. The National Socialists pioneered the practice of unloading the war dead off of trains in the darkness of night so people wouldn't know the extent of the war dead. The media couldn't take pictures. This administration has also unloaded the war dead from Iraq off the planes in the middle of the night, a departure from practice. Blackwater, there was a paramilitary organization called Schwarze Wasser. And I realized from my reading that intently, strategically, systematically, a small group of people set out to undermine the Constitution, opening the door for the horror to come. And so what became so clear to me from my reading is that Germany in those years wouldn't have looked so different from today. I mean, we, tend to think, oh, Nazi Germany, it's like a Leni Riefenstahl film. But in fact, Germany in 1930, 31, 32 had gay rights organizations and human rights organizations and feminist organizations. It had celebrities. It had all kinds of newspapers, all kinds of debate, all kinds of dissent. It was a modern state.
I didn't stop with Germany. I started to read about Stalin's Russia and Mussolini's Italy. East Germany in the 50s. Czechoslovakia in the 60s, Pinochet's coup in Chile in 73, and the Chinese crackdown on the democracy protesters at the end of the 80s. The same things recur again and again and again. Little subversions of people's rights, little constitutional changes.
And I saw that the great dictators learned from one another what was essentially a blueprint for closing down an open society. And then it became clear to me that this blueprint is simple. It consists of 10 steps, 10 clear steps. And then what became so chillingly clear to me is that these 10 steps are in place in the United States today.
Fear is the most devastating of all the threats we can have in a democracy. The language of fear will cause ordinary, decent people to do things that's not in their character.
The first thing is to invoke a terrifying internal and external threat. And sometimes it's a real threat.
After 9/11, the Bush administration used a terrible crime against our nation to launch what it called a, quote, war on terror, end quote. Other countries that were hit by the same bad guys went after the terrorists. Well,